As the Israel-Hamas war intensifies, protests continue to flare up across the globe. With the war entering a very sensitive phase, people from around the world express their solidarities, and even as the issue continues to divide the world. Thousands of Israelis gathered in Tel Aviv and demanded measures to secure the release of hostages taken by Hamas, where hundreds of protesters joined the relatives of hostages in demonstrations. People also gathered outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's official residence in central Jerusalem and called on the PM to resign as his efforts to secure the release of hostages fail. At the same time, activists gathered at the Ministry of Defense in Tel Aviv and called for a ceasefire, where thousands of Israelis demonstrated on the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and thousands also took part in a rally in London's Trafalgar Square in support of Palestinians and called for an immediate ceasefire. Now, London has seen large demonstrations on 3 successive weekends since the war started, and in the US as well. Thousands of young people filled the streets of downtown Washington, D.C. to protest the Biden administration's support of Israel. An enormous Palestinian flag was unfurled by a crowd which filled the street leading up to the White House, where demonstrators held signs calling for an immediate ceasefire. In France, thousands marched for peace in Paris. The colorful procession of Palestinian flags drew some 19,000 demonstrators. According to a local police, thousands protested in Berlin, waving placards with slogans. Berlin police checked personal details of participants over display of banners with banned slogans. Now, the banners in question were confiscated or painted over. Viva Palestina! Viva! Viva Palestina! Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters also filled the streets of Toronto and Ottawa in Canada's Ontario province. The demand remained the same, calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Now, earlier, Canada's foreign minister reiterated a call for a humanitarian pause in Gaza, and he said that there's little time left to get the Canadians out. Former U.S. President Barack Obama urged Americans to take in whole truth of the Israel-Gaza war. The former president said that everyone was complicit to some degree and acknowledged the points of view on both sides of the conflict. Now, while world and regional powers failed to reach any consensus on how to deal with this escalating conflict, protests continue to flare up sporadically across the globe.